in a dirty world. Dirty, 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 dirty world. Talking clean in a dirty world.
So we're back again for another episode of Talking Clean on a Dirty World. Thank you for joining us. You can see my panel is all with me again today. But, I think one of the things that I saw was this thing from CleanLink, 5 facts about surface disinfectants. Now, gentlemen, we're in the business of, using products. There's all of these. I'm just going to go here quickly. The pandemic accelerated our increased awareness. Of course, HAIs in hospitals was a big issue. Toxicity of products, bio-based products, which I think is interesting in this. And then, hey, you know what? North America is a leading user of all of these. So, gentlemen, of the 5 points that are on here, what tripped your trigger? Nothing.
Well, the one that I find interesting is the bio-based stuff. And then it says, it says the FDA approval to use bio-based products in formulation of surface disinfectants is expected to create huge growth opportunities for the market participants. So that led me, is it FDA approved or is it going to be FDA approved? And how does that tie into the EPA? It just led to me a bunch of other questions, which I don't have answers for. So, this isn't that great of a podcast to have if you have no answers, but I have those questions. So maybe somebody here has the answers. But has the FDA approved any of these bio-based surface disinfectants? I know we've looked at a bunch of them, Dave, over the years. And that's always been the problem is maybe the USDA does stuff for them, but not the EPA. And most of our customer base wants something from the EPA.
Well, why does the FDA have to be involved?
I don't even know where the FDA came into this.
That was what I saw.
That's my
here.
question.
We're not drinking this stuff. Why do they care?
That is interesting. I mean, why would the FDA, have any involvement with that? But
Maybe if they're going to be using disinfectants on eating surfaces or something of that nature, but even it crosses the line.
That was usually the USDA.
Yeah, USDA would cover that, and even our EPA registrations say don't use without rinsing or cleaning first. And after you lay down a sanitizer, you have to let it air dry, and only a sanitizer can do that.
Well, it might be good, Dave, to have an actual bio-based expert on to talk about those a little bit more in depth with the group, so we could ask these questions because I think we're all probably ignorant on the bio-based surface, and then I don't even know if you can call them disinfectants at the moment.
What do you call it? Ignorant?
Proposed disinfectant, and then whether or not they're ever going to be EPA approved because they aren't really killing anything, so they don't have to be EPA approved because they're just starving it out, or how these things work. So it might be a good idea to get somebody. We've talked to several people, so I'm sure there's somebody you have in your back pocket, Dave, you can get on.
I always have somebody in my back pocket, Bobby thinks. So,
Bobby has enough information to be dangerous.
And I think, Bobby, what you picked up was the one thing I had wrote down here on mine that I wanted to talk about on this, but I'm going to let the rest of you talk about it first. So, Don, he called you ignorant, you said. So
I take offense to that. I'm ignorant.
I don't remember saying that. I don't remember saying that. Go to the tape.
What he meant
I said we are all ignorant.
No, what you meant
that was a group ignorant. I didn't say Don Tracy's ignorant.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you why we're all ignorant. We are ignorant of the subject because we don't have all the facts. That is not a
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
That's good. The obvious.
Captain Obvious. Okay.
Captain Obvious there. Okay. We don't have the facts, so we are ignorant. It's not that we're stupid. We just don't have all the facts.
Yeah.
So
well, and that then goes into the toxicity of chemicals, and I think that was interesting. On another report that we looked at was green cleaning, toxicity of products, and disinfectants. Whenever you look at this, the number 3 on that list was the toxic properties of chemicals. namely disinfectants. Do you think that this came about as a result of what we experienced during the pandemic, gentlemen?
Absolutely, I think so. I think that the awareness came in particular, Dave, if people wanted to know whether COVID-19 was going to be killed or not. Everybody's always trusted the household names or the big iconic names out there for disinfecting products. Your Cloroxes, your Lysols, all that kind of stuff. The hospital's been using them for years, and all that, and also as cleaning products. But people wanted to know when you had a pandemic like this, or when you have some other kind of virus or some other kind of problem, is it going to in particular take out the problem at hand? Not necessarily anything else. So I think that there was, in my opinion, there was a big awareness after COVID-19. At least we got a lot of questions always with our customers about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So are they still questioning?
Not as much as they were before, but they still are. Yeah. Oh yeah. There's several people I can think of. That's one of the things that they first asked us, even when we sat down before we could talk to negotiate about working with them or whatnot. Yeah, they're like, well, I want a certification of the reason why we should use, or what product are you using, and I want to see the end list from the EPA, and I want to see this, and I want to see that, all that stuff. So yeah, it's not as prevalent as it was a year ago, but it's still there.
So surface disinfection to the facility is not as important as what?
Well, I mean, I think to me it's super important, but
yeah, but to the client base out there, then is that still not important, or is that high on the list?
I think it's still up there. It's one of the most important things. It's certainly, if I was looking at a list from 1 to 10, I would say probably a 2 or 3.
Yeah, and I think that, Bobby, to your point, I looked at this and I go, FDA, what are we talking FDA? We've always referred to the EPA and disinfectants because they're a toxic product that kills microorganisms. Disinfectants have always been corrosive. Now there's a big change in the industry. We noticed here last week, big reports and a lot of different people talking about, Victory and Clorox 360 are now discontinued. They're gone. What does this message send?
Research.
Yeah, I think it's a little. Well, I think the Clorox and the Victory sprayer are a little different than the toxic properties of disinfectants. But I think what they were trying to point out in number 3 of that on that list was that sodium hypochlorite, a product like that, is very effective, but when people use it, they have all these reactions to it. The end user has reaction. The person using it has reactions. So you have to get away from that, but still do what Javier's talking about, have products that work, that they can prove, disinfect, and whatnot, which then led them to this bio-based type products. The Victory sprayer is just an applicator of of whatever product that could be. So, whether or not that applicator is useful nowadays, or if the companies made business decisions based on their past successes or certain current failures, who knows? Weren't in those boardrooms, but I think the delve or the next part is talking about these bio-based, if they're actually going to be jumping into our industry, and we're going to be able to utilize them. And like Javier said, be able to show them, hey, the EPA says, yeah, you can use this bio-based product to disinfect as much as I can use sodium hypochlorite. And this is so much safer for everybody involved. If that's real, I don't know. That's why I say we got to get an expert on, talk about this stuff.
Well, I think this goes back, Bobby, what you say there. In class here, I have preached for years, even during the pandemic, that the Victory sprayer or any of the sprayers that were out that were designated as electrostatic sprayers were simply an application device to distribute water-based chemistry, whatever the water-based chemistry was put in it. And still today, during restroom class, I teach that you can apply the cleaner through the electrostatic sprayer. You can apply the disinfectant through it, because we know we're supposed to clean and disinfect. And then I follow that by the fact that I can also then apply water with it as a rinse. It simply is a device that puts chemistry on the surface. I thought it was interesting, Clorox 360, though, discontinued the products that went along with it. May send that information and that message about the toxic products, but all of this is, what is the surface that we leave behind when we use this chemistry and these disinfectants? I think is what I'm seeing is we're supposed to provide a safe, healthy surface, no matter what the chemistry is. I got to tell you, folks, for me, just rinse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dave, I think you can relate to this exactly because of your health issues that you have. When we atomize in a micro like those Victory sprayers did, we're atomizing it so microscopically that you're bound to breathe that in. And what we haven't done is gotten our folks to use the proper respirators to do that. Now, the caveat to that is if Javier's people go into a building and they got full-on respirators, that doesn't look very comfortable to the folks that are watching them do the work. So it's a catch-22. I mean, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. But if you don't protect your folks that are working for you from all these things you're atomizing into the air while they're cleaning, that's a health detriment down the road.
I think the thing is we ought to understand where we needed to have done all of this, and to just generally disinfect into the air throughout a whole facility, everything in the environment is, and still will be quite ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ludicrous because the air is being replenished every second, and every time a new piece of air comes in, it brings everything with it. All these molecules and particles are carrying on the moisture in the air. So we can atomize the entire volume of the room at one time, and 10 minutes later, there's a whole new volume of air in that room.
So what we still talking about, though, is it's not the product, it's not the device, it's the processes and practices that the technicians use. And it goes back to what you said earlier, Javier. Mm-hmm. If we're certified and we know what we're doing and we do it for the right reasons, then we have eliminated these exposures. Now, I agree, from what Bobby has said earlier, maybe we should be looking at these new products. We always should be looking at new products, but it still goes back to practices and processes.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think it's absolutely the way it always falls back to that day. There's no question.
Well, I guess that makes that discussion pretty quick and easy, huh, guys?
Need an expert.
Yeah.
We need more documentation.
I guess none of the four of us qualified as expert on this one.
I feel so
not on this subject.
So, folks, if you're listening and you've got an expert that you want to recommend that needs to talk with our panel, we're sitting here going, somebody come and talk with us that can give us a little further insight. We'd love to hear from you. Don needs help. So, folks, if you like this subject or you've got a subject you'd like for us to talk about, we'd love to hear from you. You can follow us on YouTube at Jim Supply. We'll give you all of the show notes right down there below. See all of that, all of our links. As Bobby said, we need an expert to come and talk to us. Don needs help, and Javier's just listening in. Till next time, folks, make sure you keep it healthy. Bye.